The cash ban bill goes to the Senate. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, I'm Florian Heise and welcome to another episode of Heise Says. I have my stein of coffee and I thought we'd continue our look at the cash ban bill as on the 19th of September 2019, the Senate referred the provisions of the Currency Restrictions on the Use of Cash Bill 2019 provisions to the Economics Legislation Committee for inquiry and report by the 7th of February 2020. So, there is still an opportunity to make submissions. Everyone has until the 15th of November to make submissions to the Economics Legislation Committee. And what we'll do is I'll just jump over to this window here. If you're not familiar with the cash ban, I have done videos on it before, and I will put a card right up here at about a minute into my video, and you can check out this previous video I did it. Now, there's a lot of issues surrounding it. Essentially, it's claimed to be in place to mitigate the black market. People avoiding tax. I think the main reason, cynical bastard I am, is that it's a revenue-raising mechanism. It also creates the opportunity for the introduction of negative interest rates to have much more effect. If you lock people into the banking system, it is much harder to avoid negative interest rates by simply hoarding your money and using that to make transactions. That's the danger of it. Even if that's not the intended consequences by our politicians voting for this or suggesting it, that is what the IMF, or well, let's say cutting edge monetary policy and monetary theorists and policies are putting forward in papers from the International Monetary Fund. Hard negative interest rates. The last time we had a recession, the last time there was a GFC and they had to intervene in the economy to stave off a technical recession, they cut rates significantly, and they're around, 4%. Now, what are we sitting at? 1%, and there's talk of cutting them further. So let's jump back here to the website here, and we'll have a look at just some things at making a submission. So here we go. You can get involved in a committee inquiry by writing to the committee. This is called a submission, attending a public hearing. Now, I would put money that John Adams and several others will attend the public hearing. Now, don't feel intimidated if you can't attend a public hearing, or you're not a professional economist, or you're not in the business. Every person has a voice. Every person should make a submission. Treasury, and I will bring up, do I have the Treasury website here? Here it is. You can see they got over 4,000 submissions. They haven't released any to the public. They usually get 30. So the greater the variety of submissions, you don't want them all coming from the one organization. You don't want them all the one standard template. You want a variety and a mix to show there is public concern with this, and legitimate public concern. People need to be polite. Don't be offensive. Don't sound like a fruitcake, because they'll be dismissed. And if it's just all copy and paste submissions, like say you took a template letter, and I've seen this in other public consultations, they'd count them all as one. So, what is a submission? As part of an inquiry, a committee usually asks for written submissions addressing the terms of reference. The terms of reference for each inquiry are on the committee's website. There are no terms of reference for a bill because the committee is seeking comments on the bill itself. So who should I talk to if I have questions about lodging a submission? Please contact the relevant committee secretariat for further information. Inquiries for hearing and speech impaired people should be directed to the Parliament House TTY number, yada yada yada. 0262777792 if you happen to be listening to this on a podcast. So writing a submission. The best submissions clearly address some or all of the terms of reference. You do not need to address each one. Are relevant and highlight your own perspective. Are concise, generally no longer than 4 or 5 pages. Begin with a short introduction about yourself or the organization you represent. Emphasize the key points so that they are clear. Outline not only what the issues are, but how problems can be addressed, as the committee looks to submissions for ideas to make recommendations. Only include documents that directly relate to your key points. Only include information you will be happy to see published. on the internet. That should be a general rule of life, really, for everyone, I think. Submissions that include complex arguments, personal details, or criticize someone may take the committee longer to process and consider. So here's the submission checklist. Before you send us your submission, check you have commented on some or all of the terms of reference. Is your submission long? Have you provided a summary of your submission at the front? Have you provided your return address and contact details for the submission? Have you made sure that your personal contact details are not in the main part of the submission? If you do not want your submission published on the internet, have you made this clear on the front of your submission and told us why? So delivering your submission. As many inquiries attract high levels of interest, committees prefer to accept submissions via the online system. The online submission site is secure, and here it is. I'll jump back. The online submission site is secure and suitable for uploading sensitive and confidential material. If you upload your submission through the Senate's website, you will receive an email straight away that lets you know the Secretariat has received your submission. You can submit by email, but please be aware that this is not an automatic process, and it may take longer for you to receive an acknowledgement that your submission has been received. And here's the email address you can receive. So what happens to my submission? Well, if it's Treasury, they never get published, it seems, and they're completely ignored. Your submission will be given to the committee members to read. The committee will decide whether to accept your submission and whether to publish it. Your submission is not automatically accepted and published. Due to high workload, the committee may take several weeks to consider and process your submission. You should read the terms of reference and structure your submission around these. The committee may decide not to accept your submission if it does not address the terms of reference. You will be told whether or not the committee has accepted your submission. So, if your submission is accepted, it may be published on the internet with your name. So, yep, you can ask the committee to keep your submission private. Before you show your submission to someone else, check if the committee has accepted it and decide to publish it. Submissions are only published after a decision by the committee. If the committee accepts and publishes your submission, it is protected by parliamentary privilege. This means the content of your submission cannot be used in court against you or anyone else. If you publish your submission without the committee's agreement, the information in your submission may not be protected in this way. If you write something critical of another person or organization, the committee will write to them and ask them to respond. If your submission criticizes another person, for example, accusing them of lying or corrupt behavior, the committee will send your comment to the other person so they can reply. The committee may decide not to publish your submission and the other person's response together on the committee's website, or may decide to publish your submission and their response on their website. So that's the process of making a committee. And so here's the Senate Standing Committee on Economics, and this is the current inquiries. Economic Legislation Committee, and this is the restrictions on the use of cash, National Housing Finance Investment Corporation Agreements Bill. I'll have to look at that. I think I might look at a few of these, to be honest. Treasury Law amended Prohibit Energy Market Misconduct Bill. Treasury Law amended Recovering Unpaid Superannuation Bill. So there's a few here. Oil and gas, sovereign naval shipbuilding capability. Okay, there's definitely some interesting ones, but the one I'm focusing on here is the cash ban, and its submissions close on the 15th of November 2019, and the reporting date is the 7th of February 2020. So if we look here, the role of the committee. The Senate Standing Committee on Economics, role of the committee. Following an order of the Senate on the 13th of May 2009, the Senate's 8 legislative and general purpose standing committees each now comprise a pair of committees. A legislative committees whose purpose is to deal with bills referred by the Senate, the estimates, processes, and oversee the performance of departments, including their annual reports, and a references committee, whose purpose is to deal with all other matters referred by the Senate. This reverts to a system that was in place between 1994 and 2006, when the 8 legislative and general purpose standing committees of the Senate each had a legislation and references committee. The committees will be governed by Senate Standing Order 25. Standing Order 25 provides for the appointment of a legislative and general purpose standing committee on economics. Information on the establishment and role and powers of Senate committees can be found in Chapter 5 of the Standing Orders of the Senate. So there you go, guys. I mean, that gives you a bit of a one. Here's some completed inquiries you can see, and I will link to this so you can have a look at it yourself. So, are you going to make a submission Let me know in the comments. What suggestions do you have? Have you already made a submission? Let us all know. So guys, like, share and subscribe, and do not be intimidated to make a submission and let people know your opinion. Everyone has a voice. Take care, and I'll see you later. Bye for now.